Hello again, and welcome to the Corner Studio here in my garage. Today we're talking about the Ryobi Rotary Tool, and I introduced this on the channel a few months ago and haven't had a chance to get back to it, but I wanted to do a follow-up segment on it. So here we are today. This is a battery-operated tool, which is kind of nice because you're not having to worry about plugging this into a wall socket and working around a cord all the time. But you plug the 18-volt battery in just like that. It doesn't add a lot of weight to the unit, and it runs off of the battery power for quite a long time before you need to change out. And I haven't timed it, but typically it works longer than I feel like working with the tool, and I just put it in the battery charger when I'm done so it can get topped off. But I bought the model with the foot controller, which I think I prefer using it that way. To use the foot controller, you simply, with your foot, bump this green tab here. Then you press down to control your RPMs. And by turning this tab here, this knob rather, to the foot controller setting, you're using the foot controller. If you don't want to use the foot controller, you just turn it to the RPMs you want, and there you go. So what we need to do is set up the camera in a different spot so you can see what we're doing on the table here, and we'll be right back. So I've got a couple of smaller projects that I've been working on. This one is basically, it started out as a block of wood, and what I did was on the bandsaw, I cut out the profile to this, and you can see that it's got a pencil drawing here of the rabbit's profile and holding a banjo. But this part here, this is the part that I've started to carve out with the rotary tool, and I've done a little bit of the ears, and I've recessed this ear since it's kind of intended to be on the back side of the rabbit's head. And there's also a little spot there next above the banjo where the rabbit's arm comes in that I've started creating depth, and I was using this little tool right here to accomplish this work. And I'll come back to this rabbit at some point and finish this guy out. This is another item that I was working on, and most of this work was accomplished with the bandsaw, but I came in with this same tool, and there where the guitar sound hole is, I used it to get some depth there. Now, we've got this guy here that, once again, I've done the preliminary work with the bandsaw to get the profile shape, and we're going to take a run at using this tool here to do some of the depth cuts on this figure. So let me get set up for that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I think we're ready to get started. I've clamped this piece to the table using a couple of woodworking clamps. It'll hold it nice and still while I'm working on it. I don't try to hold this stuff with my hand while I'm running the tool. So anyway, what we're going to do is just remove a little bit of the material in certain areas to give it a little bit of three-dimensional depth here, kind of like a relief carving. And I tend to go back with these pieces and paint them. So between the colors and the different depths, you get kind of that three-dimensional look in the end. So I'm going to turn the tool on and we'll get going. So you can see we've used the tool to get in there where his cape opens up to the inner garment, and we've kind of left it a nice textured sort of look. And what I'll do is I'll go in here and I'll pick some other areas just to create a little depth on them so that when we go back and paint this, it kind of gives that three-dimensional looks. Gotten a little tedious right there, but as long as we have our depth correct when it gets painted, it'll look quite fine. All right, so we cleaned that up a little bit. Not the smoothest line I've ever accomplished, but I think it'll do for this. Anyway, let's turn our attention to something else, and we'll be right back as quick as I get the camera set up. All right, so we're back to my overhead camera and set up pointed at the middle of the table. What you're looking at here is one of the blocks that I use with Repoussé, and there's kind of a shallowed out area that I can put the copper panels on and drive the piece down into them. And I've been working on this bigger block here, which I need for larger size pieces, and when I've been coming out, I've been using basically old-fashioned woodworking tools. This is a wood chisel that's got a slight curve to it, and I've just been getting material out of there by hitting it with the wood mallet and driving material out. And at some point I'll get this to the proper depth and the right slope that I need for my Repoussé work, but I put one of the bigger tools, the bigger bits on the Ryobi that I have access to in a kit that I bought, and we're just going to see how it works for just removing you know, a lot of material out in an open space here. I know I like it for carving, you know, the finer stuff, but we'll see what it does here. I've instead of clamping this thing because it's right in the center of the table, I think this will mostly hold still, but I've taken my railroad tie anvil there and laid it over one edge so that we get a little more weight on top of it. But here we go. Well, I got to say, I think the tool feels a little overmatched trying to do bigger areas like that have that kind of depth, but you could work at it. It is making progress in there, and eventually you'd get where you're going. So we've kind of done a quick test today of the Ryobi Rotary tool, and overall I have to say I'm impressed with it. I'm pleased with the money spent on it. I think it's ideal for smaller projects like this where you're doing kind of detail carving work, and that's how I plan to basically use this tool in the future. Larger projects like this, I think the tool may be a little bit outmatched, and it's better for me just to finish this one out, you know, by hand with my chisels and mallet. Overall though, I give this good marks, and I think it's a versatile tool, and as time goes on I'm probably going to figure out uses for this thing that I'm not even thinking of now, but it gives good power with the battery, and I have a second one I can swap out if I ever needed to. So far using this, I haven't run the battery all the way out on it, so that's not been a problem. I like the foot feature on this foot pedal, and overall I give this guy high marks, and I think I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of it in the future. So we thank everybody for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon in another video.